I think that any pressure that Mike's perceived he would have put on himself, I think he's often said that he feels his own personal pressure to succeed. A lot of people look at him as carrying the flag of the UFC in the UK, and I can understand why people perceive that. But at the end of the day, the UFC is about having the best fighters. Mike is certainly one of the fighters who's trying to position himself as one of the best in the world. I think he has the tools and the talent. The fans either love him or hate him at this point. But he's got a reaction from the fans. So when we put this fight together in Manchester and Mike's on that card, he has another opportunity to prove to everybody that he's one of the best fighters in the world and can start making that climb back towards a championship. So for us, we're not putting any pressure on Mike. The fighters put that pressure on themselves. No one said to him, "It's do or die time, Mike." He is one of the guys that helped build the UFC here in the UK, and the way Dana has spoken about other fighters in the UFC, you have to believe that he's one of those fighters that are perceived that same way. He's got no real pressure from us to perform. I think being a coach of the Ultimate Fighter on the US versus the UK certainly helped to reinforce people's mind that he's a UK fighter versus what we like to look at all of our fighters within the company as they're all fighters for the UFC. I know it's important within countries and within nations for people to identify with their fighter, but Mike's a UFC fighter, and I don't think he took on, knowing him as well as I do, any personal vendetta or objective to say, I'm the British guy and I'm coming to win for Britain. I think he carries a lot of national pride, but in the end, Mike was being Mike, and Mike wanted, to find a way to probably motivate himself for that fight and get himself in the best physical and mental condition he could be in. Our hardcore fans realize there is some very good talent within the British ranks of the UFC. You've got Paul Kelly, Terry Edom. Terry, to me, is a guy who's got all the tools in that division to cause a lot of problems for people. We've got Paul Taylor, who's doing well. We now have the tough winners. So all of these guys have the ability to elevate the UFC to the next level in the UK, but I always think that people will always perceive Mike as the guy who helped blaze the trail for everybody. In a lot of ways he did, and he's made our job easy here. So it's not only because of his fighting style, but his personality. So, Mike, has a lot more fight left in him and will continue to carry that flag, is my guess. And all these other fighters are going to be happy to, walk in beside him.